let's talk about the main difference between Enlightenment psychology and psychology. The main difference is that psychology concerns itself with the ego and self-awareness, the mind and consciousness, and what is below, which is subconsciousness and the body, the biology of our spacesuit. Enlightenment psychology also concerns itself what is above. And the fact that only Freud has ever talked or mentioned something that is above our self-conscious awareness, which he called the superego, but falsely attributed education to it, shows that it is completely ignoring this huge aspect of ourself. As I mentioned in another talk, the totality of ourself is immense, and it spans 4 universes or dimensions. And according to Kabbalists, for example, a normal person only knows 0.25% of the totality of itself. So the best way to illustrate that is with the old shamanistic image of the tree of the heaven and the earth. So if we look at the picture, I illustrated the tree of the earth as a tree of life, a glyph having its head in the avatar or self-awareness, and then going below into subconsciousness, and the above as a second tree of life, reaching upwards. So whatever is above us is completely ignored by psychology. What is above, in principle, is fairly simple. We are immortal souls and we have planetary experiences. The body we inhabit is a spacesuit. It's alive, yes. It's a living spacesuit that has its own dull consciousness, but it's a living thing on its own. But consciousness, and of course our soul, and our mind exist independent of the body. They just come together with the spacesuit in our brain, but they exist independently of each other. And that's actually fairly easy to prove. For example, all human values, and in particular the 4 intangibles, love, happiness, beauty and purpose, you can't find them in the external world. Yeah, trees, monkeys, lions, spiders can't express any of that. That comes from the inside, or rather the inside above. That's something we bring into this world, the world in which our spacesuit exists. And of course that's a problem, because you cannot prove any of this. But Enlightenment and psychology share the same difficulty here, and that is, you cannot prove anything objectively or scientifically apart from statistics and examining the function of the brain, whereby examining the function of the brain has led scientists nowhere even close to understanding what is consciousness. Okay, so we need to replace, psychologists and people who pursue enlightenment need to replace objective scientific proof with subjective verification. And how does that work? Let's take an example, OBE, out-of-body experience. It's a subjective experience, and there's no way you can prove to anyone that it's real. But if you find other people yes, who had the same experience, and not just 1, 2, or 3, but like 100 or 200, yeah, you have something like a subjective verification. And mind, even if 100 people say it's true, that's still not a scientific proof, because they could all lie. And the best example of that is that a few hundred years ago, the entire Europe believed that the planet is flat. Yeah, and just because everybody believed it, that did not make it true. The other important thing is to understand is that we have different drives that come from the above and that come from the below. Psychology concerns itself with the drives that come from the below. Freud's sex drive is the best example of that. But the soul has also drives and motivations. And for example, Nietzsche's power drive is an expression of the soul and the avatar to gain power and control over external circumstances. He thought this is the prime drive of man. But I believe there is a higher drive than that, which is the play drive. Remember, we are immortal souls and we are having planetary experiences. Like life, planetary life is like an RPG game. Yeah, we get this avatar and then we get a shot at the planetary game and then we die, and so after some time we get a new avatar and we try again. So all what we experience here is more or less just a game. Yeah, nothing can happen to us. Yeah, if our spacesuit perishes, yeah, we return to where our soul resides in the in-between life. So this is really just a game. We are immortal souls. We're playing a game. Even the Creator created the universe as a grand playground. It's a game. Brahms' Lila, as the Hindus like to say. So I believe that the play drive is really the highest drive that comes from the above and that drives our soul to experience and pursue its cosmic career, enlightenment. Yeah. So there are two things coming together. On one end, we have the evolution of biology, which is the evolution of our spacesuit. And on the other side, we have an evolution of our soul, which evolves through experience. Yeah, and every incarnation it partakes in, adds to its experience, its level of experience, and it extracts from this experience understanding and wisdom. So our spacesuit evolves and our soul evolves at the same time. And the enlightenment happens where the two come together. The blending of the evolving biological awareness and the evolving soul. And that's where the rubber meets the road in enlightenment. Okay? So if you care too much about your spacesuit, you can't do enlightenment. If you care too much of your soul, you can't do enlightenment either, because you will be just floating on higher levels without making the real impact on your spacesuit, which needs to evolve to a certain point where it can unfold new abilities. Yeah. Thank you for watching this episode of the Inspiration and Enlightenment Workshop Slow Talk. Please help spreading the light with a share and a like. Thank you for watching. Love and light.